So, please note that your call may be recorded for monitoring and training purposes.
Hello, single point of access. You're speaking to Sam. How can I help?
Yes, hi Sam. I'm calling on behalf of my brother, Mr. Talib Hussain, date of birth 15/9/1960, and I was wondering if you can put me through to Mohammed Fayaz.
Yep, 15/9/19.
60.
Yep, thank you. And what was the name again?
Mr. Talib Hussain.
Thank you. Just confirm the first line of your brother's address, please.
It's number 20 Primary Way.
Thank you. I'm just bringing up the details now, and I'll try the member of staff for you.
Okay.
And what's your name?
My name is Mr. Hussain, Shahzad Hussain.
Thank you. Won't be a moment. Yeah, and the name of the member of staff that you wish to speak to again, please.
It's Mohammed Fayaz.
Thank you. Just searching for him on the system now. Mohammed Fayaz. Yeah, I'll pop you on hold. I'll just try dial out now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Person that I could try and get in touch with if you like.
Who's that?
Christopher Browell.
Yeah, can you put me through to him, please?
Yeah, thank you.
How's your dad?
Mr. Browell, how are you?
I'm okay, you alright?
Well, actually, no, I'm not alright because I was hoping that we never speak again.
Okay.
But unfortunately, here I am having to call you because you've come down and delivered a letter to us.
Yeah.
Can I ask when you came down?
That was today about 12 o'clock, half 11, 12 o'clock, I think.
Oh, okay, alright. And did you see my brother?
No.
Because he was outside.
I didn't see anyone, no.
Oh, okay, alright. And did you come on your own?
Yes.
So, can I just ask why you've come down, taken the time and effort to come down and deliver a letter when you could have called me?
I tried to call you last week, she's had twice and left voicemail. So
I'm not...
I was going to call, and said that you could contact me via single point of access.
You know what, Mr. Browell, that might be the case. I haven't checked my voice messages recently. But like I said, I mean, I was not expecting... When did you call me last week?
Sorry?
When did you call me and leave me messages?
On Friday, I think I called twice last week. Let me just check. Yeah, I called on the 13th of December.
13th of December?
Yeah.
Is that the last time you called?
I believe so, yeah.
You didn't call on Friday?
Where are we? 19th. No, but I thought I had phoned on Friday as well, to be honest, but I don't think I've made a note of that. I'm not sure if I've made a note of that, I don't think. But there is a note from the 13th of December when I've called.
Oh, okay. And when you called, you left me a voice message, so I know you've called?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well, like I said, I'll have to review that now. Obviously, I have equally, as you may be aware, the last time. Can you just remind me when the last time we had a conversation?
I think we spoke on the 2nd of December.
Second?
And,
No, that could...
Oh no, I phoned on the 2nd of December, but that went to voicemail.
Okay. Alright.
Then the last time we actually spoke would have been, I think maybe the 8th of November.
That sounds about right. Yeah, it was the 8th of November. So the last time we spoke was on the 8th of November. And obviously we left the situation where no further progress could be made because we felt that you were no longer in a position to assist me. Is that correct?
We spoke something along those lines, yes.
Yeah.
Did, yeah.
And the relationship ended amicably and there was no issue, there was no concerns, was there?
No.
Okay, alright. But the concerns I did raise was regarding the up and coming final hearing for by the housing association. So
right.
I did make you aware that there was going to be a final hearing on the 30th of November, didn't I?
I believe you did, yeah.
Yes, and you did relay that information to your senior management or whoever that was relayed to the people, wasn't it?
I'm not completely sure, but I think I'm not sure if I said it was the 30th of November, but I did say that there was a court hearing towards the end of it, I think, yeah.
Okay, and then can I assume that from the 8th of November, that there was no further progress as far as you're concerned until the 30th of November, when I believe the housing association contacted you?
When you say there was no further progress, what do you mean?
Like there was no other developments, because obviously we left the situation where we don't no longer need to speak to you. You were aware that there was a final hearing regarding the eviction from the housing association. I'm just trying to ask, was there any further development from the 8th of November to the 30th of November?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
There's no development on the case, because as you're fully aware that on the 30th of November, when the court hearing was happening, you were contacted by the housing association. That is correct, yes?
I believe so, yeah.
And they were asking you information regarding Talib's status.
Yeah.
So is that, following from the 8th of November, is that the only other development that's happened before that call?
When you say development, I'm not sure what you mean. There's been a final order made regarding the appointeeship. So
okay.
That's
Okay. Can I ask what the date of the final order is?
I'd have to. I can find it.
Yeah.
I think the 13th of October, if it's the right one, or I'm not sure if it's the right one. So there's a date of 13th of October on it.
Sorry, that doesn't make any sense to me, because
it might not be in the final order. Hang on, let me just check. I think that's what you said. You said me at some stage.
well, the thing is, you've sent a letter through the post today, and it says basically you'd like to come and attend and explain the final order. So hence why I'm calling you, why there's a necessity for me to call you up. So you've come to the house, you posted it through the letterbox, and you said you'd like to come on a visit and explain the final order. So the obvious question I need to ask is, what are you referring to?
Well, I believe that it's my understanding that you've been posted the final order.
No, sir, who have you taken? Look, I would appreciate, because open and transparency, because obviously you and I, we've always had this understanding, and I understand you're compromised in what you can do, but the problem I find with yourself is that I think you're an honourable person being put into a dishonourable situation, and you struggle with, and that's one of the problems that we had when we ended the conversation. There was an attempt made to try to vilify me, and then upon reflection you said, no, that's actually correct, that because I'm in a position that I can't help you, and I'm constrained by management, acknowledgement that, you know, I don't really feel I can help you. And that was where we left things, rather than it being a case of where I was acting in the wrong. You acknowledged that I hadn't done anything in the wrong. And I personally believe, and like I said, I'm quite open about this. I think you're an honourable person put into a dishonourable situation. Now, obviously, further evidence has come to light that I wanted to discuss with you. But in relation to this, can you understand that this seems highly dubious to me, that you come, and these are the circumstances that it seems slightly dubious to me, is that, you know, first of all, we have an understanding, don't just come down on our door, you know, telephone first. You've told me, you've explained to me that you have telephoned, and the last time you telephoned was last week on Tuesday, the 13th. Alright, and left a voice message. Subsequently, you've not telephoned. You could have telephoned today, but you've taken the steps to come down, get in a car, drive down, hand deliver this letter to us, which seems kind of circumspect to me on the surface of it. Because you didn't telephone today, did you?
No, but the thing is that my manager said that he could visit with me on Thursday. If I put the letter through the post, because of the strike to the postal service, I wasn't sure that it would get there in time.
Okay, alright. Well, that's okay. Right, you know what, Mr. Browell, that's reasonable, right? The reason that you didn't put anything in the post was there's a strike going on. Fair enough. I understand that. I appreciate that. So that alleviates some of my concerns, because obviously I need you to be acting in an open and transparent manner because of all the malevolence that's happening. The fact that you come down and posted the letter is because there's a strike on, and also the sense of urgency was that because your manager was available on Thursday to come down with you. Yes. That seems kind of reasonable. Okay. Now, what makes it unreasonable is this, that I last spoke to you on the 8th of November, and I had ongoing concerns. And if you remember, one of the concerns I had was regarding safeguarding of my brother's medical records. Do you remember me having that conversation with you?
I remember you saying something about the medical records and all the GP weren't able to. So those were some of my ongoing concerns, which you couldn't help me with, because you said, look, that's got nothing to do with us. And even though I said that, look, how have you managed to get his medical records and so on? So there were some concerns regarding his medical records that I left you with, but you couldn't help with, and there was very little that you could assist with at the time. However, then what's happened is that I've made you aware as a local authorities representative that we're going to a final hearing regarding the eviction from the property, and you, the local authority, have not done anything about this. And then what I've discovered is that at the day of the hearing, that obviously the housing association had contacted you directly whilst the court proceedings were ongoing. Do you understand this? So while you were speaking to the housing association, the court had been adjourned so that the housing association could get further information. Because one of the things, just for your information and understanding, is that the case could not proceed because my brother was not. There was an issue regarding his litigation capacity. All right. So obviously the judge was reluctant, who I believe was equally paid off, but who was understandably reluctant to proceed with a hearing where there was a potential respondent who had litigation capacities. So when I made the judge aware that, look, my brother has litigation issues regarding his litigation capacities on ongoing court proceedings, the judge needed to have that verified, because obviously I could be lying. So what they did was they told the housing association to verify that fact, and the housing association contacted you directly. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah. And can I just ask what the basis of that conversation was? I pretty much said that it would be up to the courts to make a decision on that. I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that's correct. But what came back to me, because obviously the conversation that you had was then relayed in court, all right? And the information that got back was that the fact that you could not disclose any information regarding ongoing court proceedings. I think what you told them is that you're not in a position to disclose anything regarding the court proceedings, the court of protection proceedings. But the point of issue that I have is that you mentioned to the housing association that you've been trying to see my brother and I've been preventing him. I've been preventing you from seeing him.
Right, I'm not sure if I said that, but if you say that that's what they've told you.
Well, that's the information that I got in court. So I just wanted to have this discussion with you that the information I got whilst being in court, what was relayed to the judge was that that yourselves have said that you're aware of what's going on, like the court proceedings, the eviction proceedings, and the fact that you're not in a position to disclose anything regarding the court of protection proceedings, and that you had made the statement to them that I have been preventing you from or preventing access to Talib. Are you stating that you didn't state that?
I don't know what exact words, but I will have most likely said that I haven't been able to see Talib. So whether I've said that you were preventing me seeing Talib, I'm not sure. But,
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that I haven't seen Talib. I've only seen him once in the last year. So.
Yeah, but the reality is that, notice that word prevent, because obviously if you haven't seen him, that's fair enough. But you have seen him because you came down to visit him, and he asked you something. So that was back in May, I believe, on the top of my head. But it's the key element of the word prevent. If you'd used the word prevent, that I had prevented you, can you understand? That's something that's wrong, isn't it?
I don't know. The fact of the matter is I haven't been able to see Talib for a year, so it shouldn't be that complicated for me to be able to see Talib.
But you're right. It shouldn't be that complicated. But who's making it complicated? It's you. That it shouldn't be that complicated for my brother to authorize me to act on his behalf. It shouldn't be that complicated as well. So my brother, as you can appreciate, when you did come down, you did not come down with an interpreter, and you do not speak his language, and that obviously is in the background of serious malevolence taking place. Namely, my brother not having access to his benefit money for several years now. I have not got any access to any benefit money as well, because you've made somebody in the background has made malicious remarks, which has brought into question. There's this court proceedings which you've come down with the final. So it shouldn't be that complicated. But you know why it's complicated is because you are still insisting on taking possession and control of Talib. That's why it's complicated. So, I'm going to just focus in on the pivotal point here, is because because you had told, because what I heard in court was that Mr. Browell is saying that I am preventing him from access to Talib. Okay. And then what's happened in court, which I'm not sure if you're fully aware of because the order's not come out, is that they have then said, okay, well, if you're preventing him, we're going to put an injunction in place forcing you to make Talib available. Yeah? So that was what was discussed in court. An injunction order is being drafted, which obviously, as you can appreciate, if I don't comply to it, I can go to jail. Now, if you had not used the word prevent, I'm preventing you, then why would the judge need to write out an injunction order?
I don't know.
Okay, so can you understand the argument is being leaned towards the idea that what was relayed in court to the judge was that you had stated that I am preventing you from seeing him. Hence why the judge then said, okay, well, if you're doing this, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an injunction in place forcing you to make Talib available. So can you see how, if you're saying the situation is getting complicated, it's being complicated by malevolence. That's not on my part. I thought we ended the relationships cordially.
I didn't get asked to be phone called by the housing. They were asking for me for information. I gave them the information that I said that there's not that much I can inform the court of. They need to make their own decisions.
Yes.
How I've worded things and things like that, I'm not completely sure.
Okay. Can I just ask? Did they call you on your mobile number or did they go through a single point of access?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Did you answer the phone on your mobile phone?
I think I might have have done, yeah. I think I might have done, yeah.
Okay, because the reason I asked that is because if they are gone through single point, because you know we've had this issue before with the housing association raising a false flag regarding safeguarding. Because I tell you what my concerns are, because I can see the writings on the wall, and what I believe is at foot here is that now that you have legally or unlawfully or whatever contentiously got his power of attorney or deputyship for his property and finances, you need to now instigate further proceedings regarding welfare. And that's exactly what happened in my mum's case. So in order for you to do that, you need a pretext. You need to, like, somebody raise a false flag safeguarding alert, all right, which then justifies you coming down and instigating further legal proceedings for welfare proceedings. So hence why, as you can appreciate, why I was alarmed and distressed at your last visit. So the last time you had visited was, I believe, on the 14th of October. When on the 13th of October, a day beforehand, the Housing Association had raised a completely false flag saying that one of our engineers has gained entry to the property and we have serious safeguarding concerns. And obviously that all fell apart because, number one, they were not allowed entry to the property, and number two, it just highlighted the fact that that whole issue with getting an injunction order in order to gain entry was a predetermined contrivance in order to justify a welfare check. So, you know, this is why I'm alarmed and concerned and distressed, because I can see the writings on the wall. Because what the council now need to do is, now that they've got control of all his money and finances and controlling that aspect, you now need to justify that Talib, I'm not caring for my brother Talib properly, or there's an endangerment, or you have concerns. Because that concerns will then necessitate you pursuing court action in order to gain possession of my brother, just as you did like a repeat performance of in my mother's case. That's what's concerning me right now. Because I'll tell you what's happened. I just want to park the conversation you had with the Manningham Housing Association on the 30th of November to one side. I just want to tell you what other developments have been happening since we last spoke, which I think you need to be made aware of. Because what's happened subsequently, because one of the issues, as you can appreciate, while I was speaking to you on November, the concerns I had was regarding my brother's medical records. Now, some disclosure has taken place. And so one of the disclosures that's taken place between myself and the GP practice is a telephone call from Vicina Brown to the GP practice in Oldham. All right. So remember earlier on in the conversation why I was saying that, how do you know my brother's got diabetes? How do you know all this information? Well, I now have evidence to show that Vicina Brown had been speaking to the GP practice in Oldham. They've disclosed that information to me, so I have that information now. And during that information, Vicina Brown, whom I understood was your manager, all right, was telling them not to disclose any information to me, and basically making them aware of my criminal conviction, and basically looking to sabotage my relationship with the new GP practice. So I have that on evidence now. And so what's happened is that once I've received that information, I've then tried to get in touch with Vicina Brown. Now, as you're aware, Vicina Brown no longer works in your team. So that added a level of confusion to me, because prior to our disengagement on the 8th of November, my understanding was that your manager was Vicina Brown. And I had alluded to that several times, that look, go speak to Vicina Brown or speak to your managers or whoever, yes. And so I was unaware until basically I was unaware that Vicina Brown was not your manager. All right. I became aware that Vicina Brown is not your manager through the process of receiving some disclosure, a telephone call recording from Vicina Brown to the GP practice in Oldham. So when I received that, I obviously wanted to gain clarity of understanding. So I rang up the single point of access to speak to Vicina Brown. I was told that she's no longer your manager. I then obviously said, well, that confused me, because my understanding was that she was your manager and you had been taking instructions from her. Hence, all the communications, because remember, you had wrote a letter back at the end of July, which instigated our reconversation regarding, getting my brother transferred to a GP in Bradford, regarding the money situation. You were asked to translate a letter from English to Urdu. And remember, that's how we started our conversations in August. So I was not made aware that, Vicina Brown was not your manager. And then then I asked them, the natural question is that who's replaced her? And then now I'm told that your manager is Mohammed Fayaz. All right. So there's that element that I wanted to discuss with you regarding some malevolence on the part of Vicina Brown, your previous manager, contacting the GP practice and basically sabotaging that relationship, so my brother cannot have access to any medication effectively or any medical services because of that interference, which is an ongoing theme. But then when I spoke to Mohammed Fayaz, obviously I don't know, have you been made aware that I've been speaking to Mohammed Fayaz?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a very lengthy conversation with Mohammed Fayaz. I believe it was for about 2 hours. And it's in that conversation that he made me aware that Vicina Brown has not been your manager since July. And is that correct?
Probably around that time, yeah.
So the letter so this adds further confusion, you see, because when I spoke to you, you told me you were just told by your managers to translate the letter from English to Urdu. Was Vicina Brown not instructed you to do that?
I don't think it was who instructed me. No, I'm not sure. I think it may be the legal department.
So the legal department contacted you directly to ask you to translate a letter. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say they contacted me directly. As I said, there's occasionally there's meetings, and I attend a meeting, which the legal department are there, and they might say,
I see. All right. Okay, all right. So obviously the local authority have internal meetings where they discuss how to progress a case, and they invite other people on, like safeguarding meetings as well. Yeah. Similar to safeguarding meetings or multidisciplinary meeting, yes. So they invited you down, okay, and that's what's been discussed at that, and that's obviously an internal thing that I wouldn't be aware of, is it? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but with regards to so I feel like, can I just ask the simple question that from August until when we last spoke in November, and I had made references to one of the problems that we were having was that you were not in a position to help us. Why was it not made clear to me that Vicina Brown is not no longer your manager?
I don't know. I can't comment on that. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fair enough, because obviously that is something new, you see. It's something that concerns me, and obviously I spent a lot of time, 2 hours of my time, once again reiterating and re-clarifying things to your manager Mohammed Fayaz. Now with regards to Mohammed Fayaz, he's explained to me that he's when you came down on the 14th of October, you came down with a colleague of yours, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. And is it my understanding is now that you acted unilaterally to do, that was your decision to come down? You have not got clearance from anybody, that your senior managers?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look back on it, but I don't know if I need clearance to visit some.
Well, I mean, I understand you, because the reality is that you were not just visiting, you were effectively answering a safeguarding alert.
Right.
And a safeguarding alert, so potentially I could have been a berserker, violent, a threatening individual. And I know that you and I know that's not the case, but I'm sure there should be protocols. So I learned from Mohammed Fayaz that potentially you had come down unilaterally, and that doesn't make sense to me, because obviously, as you can appreciate, if you come down on a safeguarding issue and there are serious concerns, you are in then a position to elevate that to the police straight away.
Not really. It depends on what those concerns are.
But potentially you are in a position to elevate those concerns to a senior, to the police, because you're answering. It's not like a routine visit. There is potential of something serious happening.
Yeah. Okay.
And so what concerns me is that, and you had obviously, you had sort of fit to bring down a colleague with you as well. So you must have not felt safe.
I don't know if it's not felt safe, but I think generally when I've visited before, it's been in twos.
Yes.
Like I know I visited on my own today, but that was just to deliver a letter. I
Yes.
wasn't actually knocking the door or anything. So
Yeah.
generally it's in twos.
So
we visited.
but that is an element of safeguarding as well, to say safeguard you as well, isn't it? Just potentially something could go wrong. All right. So you just want somebody else to be there to act as a witness. So coming down in two is an appropriate action for you to take. I'm not questioning that. What I'm questioning is that if you're answering a safeguarding alert, surely you must make, this is not just like a normal innocuous visit. You that must be cleared by your management, no?
I wouldn't say cleared by management as such, no.
Okay.
I might send them an email. I might make them aware that
Okay.
the planning for me to visit, but I wouldn't necessarily need to get it kind of approved or anything.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, like I said, these are the council's internal policies. It's not something I'm gonna obviously have a right to comment on. I just think on a objective basis, I was surprised to learn that from Mohammed Fayaz that you had come down without authority from any of your managers to take that action, because that action obviously potentially could have escalated further. And I would have hoped that as an objective person, that under these circumstances, that there would be policies and procedures in place in handling a safeguarding call in order to both protect your safety and obviously the person who you have concerns about. And that would have been taken far more seriously rather than just, a haphazardly, we're just going to attend a visit and see how things go. But obviously, given my experience of dealing with both the housing, the council and the district trust, I understand that you do operate in this haphazard manner. So that's, but that potentially leads to concerns. But so I don't want to delve on this aspect too much. What I'm trying to focus in on is the fact that you hadn't made me aware that Vicina Brown is not your manager.
Okay.
All right, and then obviously I think it was only right for you to make me aware of who your manager is, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously when I speak to people, and I had a lengthy conversation with Mr. Fayaz, and I explained to him who his manager is, and he was reluctant to tell me who his manager is. But irrespective, and he kept on asking me, why are you asking who my manager is? And I kept on saying that I'm not having we're not both civilians, and we're not having a conversation where you're acting with autonomy, doing your own actions. You're obviously in a chain of command, and I need to know who that chain of command is, so I know who I'm dealing with. Because you understand, you're not a private individual like I'm a private individual. So when I go to speak to other private individuals, I know that they're the decision makers. But when I speak to you, Mr. Browell, I know the fact that you're not the decision maker. You're not acting autonomously. However, on occasions, you do act autonomously, hence why you've come down and visited, without informing your managers or getting approval from your managers. And it's that aspect that I'm just trying to understand. Because, my understanding is that irrespective, you're not a private citizen, I am. Alright? And this is one of the arguments that I've made with the local authority, that, look, I'm a private citizen, I have freedom and liberties. You are employees. You're supposed to do things by policies and procedures. Now, with regards to yourself, you've not made, so that's why I asked who the manager is, and it's nothing personal, and it's nothing personal to Mohammed Fayaz. I was just trying to find out where the chain of command is, because obviously some of the decisions that you're making are made from senior managers, all right? Other decisions that are being made, which you're now informing me, that's not always the case. That I can go to a multidisciplinary meeting, all right, where this legal team are there, or other people from other departments are there, and they can give me instructions as well. So that's like a better understanding I have. But irrespective of whether you act autonomously, whether you act under instructions from your managers, or whether you act through any multidisciplinary meeting, you are effectively a representative of Bradford Council, and your actions, your actions are liable to the council. I'm just trying to understand that is correct, yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So that's correct, yes. And so therefore, as a council representative, it's so important for me to know the fact that you're being open and transparent and honest, which I think you are trying to do. But it's like it's convoluted because of a convoluted or difficult situation. Because obviously I've now discovered that Vicina Brown, who is obviously your manager, was contacting like the GP practices in Oldham and basically like snitching me up and bad mouthing me and effectively degrading that relationship, and then asking you to translate a letter, which I know that's not the case, or somebody in your organization on the one hand, because even Vicina Brown, whatever her actions are the local authorities' actions. So can you understand why this is a conflict? I have a conflict. There's a conflict here because on the one hand I'm speaking to you, on the other hand, you're acting with malevolence in the background, and nobody wants to speak to me. And so now you've come down, and can I ask, under these circumstances that you've received this final order, who has instructed you? Because you just mentioned to me that you got in touch with Mohammed Fayaz and said, look, when's your next availability? He said, oh, I can go down on Thursday, and then hence why you've written this letter. But who has instructed you to come down and meet my brother Talib?
So I believe it's from the OPG who've requested that attempts are made to serve the final order and explain to Talib what the meaning of that final order is.
Okay, all right.
Whether that's possible or not, I need to kind of show, or that's what's been requested, that we need to show that we've tried to serve the final order.
Okay. And so when you say the final order, I think this is we're coming back to this pivotal point here. The Office of the Public Guardian have contacted you and said that you need to go down and explain the final order. I have the order that I sent you back in October. Is that what you're referring to?
I don't believe it is. I've looked through my emails and for some reason I can't seem to find it. But it's my understanding that it's already been sent out to you, and the decision was made in the last few weeks that it's basically the final order regarding LA's appointeeship of Talib's property and affairs.
Because first of all, let me just say this, that with regards to this meeting proceeding, I don't think it's advisable to have this meeting proceed at this moment in time. What I don't want from you is to maliciously raise a safeguarding alert, all right, and try to force entry, because I don't think that's conducive, and I'll try to explain to you why. First of all, obviously this is very short notice, number one. Number two is that you've not. I'm trying to determine what the final order is, because the letter states final order. You've made me aware today that the Office of the Public Guardian has asked you to explain to Talib what the final order was, but I have not received a final order as yet. And the order that I have received because I think we need a clarity of understanding, like, what are you going to explain to Talib when you don't even have the order with you? So first of all, I just need to understand, what order are you referring to, or what order is the Office of the Public Guardian asking you to explain to Talib? Because if it's a final order that's happened in the last couple of weeks, nothing's been given to me or Talib or my sister, who is a party in these proceedings. So before any meeting, as you can appreciate, before any meeting can take place, I need to be sure that there's nothing malevolent taking place. And as it stands momentarily, you can't even tell me what the order is. So the purpose of the meeting is muted if you don't have the order in front of you.
Well, that's my understanding. What the order is with regards to the LA.
No. But you need the order, don't you? Though, which order are you referring to?
Yeah. Yes, that one that I've just said. Then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which one?
The final order with regards to the local authority appointeeship.
Yeah. Which order is that? What date is it?
Yeah, I can't find it at this moment in time. So.
Okay. Well, before we proceed any further, I think it's only best, because there's some confusion here. Okay. And I'll tell you what the confusion is. Which order are you referring to? Because the order that I sent you was made, I believe, at the end of May. Okay. And it was issued out on the 8th of August. Okay. And it was first received by me on the day that you'd come to do a welfare check or the day after. So I first received that on the 15th of October. Now, subsequently, I have put in several COP9 applications, which you personally would not be aware of, but as far as I'm concerned, no final hearing has taken place. So no final orders could have been drafted. And the order that I sent you was not a final order. So I need to be clear that I may be mistaken here, maybe that since my email to you in October, there's been a further order that you have a copy of that I don't, and that's hence my call today. So I think before we can move any step further, because I'm just conscious of the time as well, because we're coming, coming on a bit. So what I'm proposing is that this meeting cannot take place at this moment in time, because I need to know exactly what order you are referring to, and I think also you need to have clarity of understanding of what order are you trying to come down to explain. Okay?
Yeah.
And also the fact that you should be made aware that I have objected to this order. I have put several COP9 applications in, and only today, I've received something back from the courts stating that my COP9 applications are being progressed with. So, if the office, can I just ask, when did the Office of the Public Guardian contact you?
It's in the last week, something like that, I think.
Okay, because at the court hearing on the 30th of November, what happened was that obviously the Housing Association tried to contact you, and they got some information from you, but they couldn't get any more information from you, and that took place on the 30th. But then what the Housing Association did was that because you were not in a position to relate to them more information, they then contacted the legal team directly, I believe. That's what was discussed in court. And in the legal team had stated that yes, there are court of protection proceedings, and Mr. Hussain is contesting them. So that's what little information I got from a court hearing regarding eviction from the Housing Association, that the court proceedings are still ongoing, all right, and the fact that I had objected to them. So quite clearly that cannot be the final order. So what I think may have happened is that from December, I'm just trying to determine that has there been a further final order, because we've not received this.
Yeah.
So can you please clarify which order are you the house from the Office of the Public Guardian? Can you just tell me what date that order is, the final order?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can continue this conversation to see how we can proceed next. Because, the justification for you coming down is, I think, it's false. There's no justification for you to come down to just explain my brother a final order when you can't tell me which final order you're referring to. And I need to know, are you referring to the order that I sent to you in October? And are you assuming that that's the final order? Or has there been another order that the Office of the Public Guardian has sent you subsequently, and then asked you to explain that to my brother?
Yeah, okay.
Can you do that for us, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, so...
Find out, so I'll try to give you a call tomorrow, Dad.
Yeah, if you just give me a call tomorrow, and if I don't pick up, if you can leave me a voice message. I mean, I would prefer for you to send me the new order, or any communication via email, but my understanding is you're not going to do that, is it?
I don't know, I can ask.
Okay, you can ask. Who you can ask? Vicina Brown, or she's not there, so you're going to... You need to ask the legal team. So just trying to explain this to me before we go. So obviously you're acting as a representative of Bradford Council, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, and under that, because Bradford Council is a corporation, it has a corporate structure. So some of the decisions are coming to you from legal. Some of those decisions are directions and instructions are coming to you from your managers. Some of those directions are instructions are coming to you from like internal meetings that you're having. I understand that, because it doesn't really matter which of those instructions are coming to. Ultimately, all decisions made on which you're relaying to me are coming from Bradford Council, and the council's a decision maker, and I understand that. And what I'm failing to understand is that under what framework are you taking instructions from the Office of the Public Guardian and relaying messages on behalf of the Office of the Public Guardian and taking directions from the Office of the Public Guardian? Because remember when I spoke to you previously in August, you told me that this letter, like the had been you have told me previously that you've received instructions from the Office of the Public Guardian directing you to do things. So I'm just trying to understand that sometimes, you know, we've had this conversation before where you said, I don't work for you, Mr. Hussain, and you're not my patient, or you're not the client, so I'm not taking any instructions from you. And however, I've said that I am acting in my brother's best interest, and I'm giving you instructions, and some of those instructions have been simply relay this information to the council, so on and so forth. And you know, you've been objecting to that, and understandably, you're right. You're not my employee. You're not supposed to take instructions from me. All right, I understand that. But can you please explain to me how you are in a position to effectively act as a proxy agent for the Office of the Public Guardian?
So I don't receive emails from them. I think that the legal department receives emails from the OPG, and I'm the person that has to follow out any instructions.
But so the correct answer is that you're not in communication with the Office of the Public Guardian directly?
Not as such. I might read an email that's been sent via the legal department, and then I'm given an instruction.
Yes.
No, not.
Okay. So that clarifies. So your personal remit is that. Can you understand that is an element of concern to me, because an external organisation cannot act as a proxy agent for somebody. So let me just clarify this. So often, like I've told you my brother's sentiments, and I act as his agent. So I'm like taking instructions from him or acting in his best interest and informing you. So there's that clear relationship there, and that's been solidified over time. Number one, I'm his next of relative, nearest relative, next of kin. Number two, he's given me his lasting power of attorney. Number three, or any other kind of framework, so that there's a clear relationship between me and my brother. It's not hidden. All right, I've tried to codify it in legal terms as much as I can. I don't understand how the Office of the Public Guardian can be instructing you to do things on their behalf, because they could be instructing you to do things because you're the deputy, all right, because they recognize you as the deputy. But these information, like explaining court orders, that is the job of the Office of the Public Guardian.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So because the Office of the Public Guardian is the claimant, all right, in collaboration with yourself, all right, you're both complaining. You know, this is what concerns me, and I think I'm going to end the conversation now. What concerns me is that, can you understand, my brother is a separate person to me. I am a separate individual to my brother. However, we work as a team, as a partnership, as a collective, because we're brothers, and he's authorized me to do that. And I want you and everybody else to know that I'm doing that lawfully. However, you, the local authority, are equally a separate entity from the Bradford District Care Trust. You're two different entities, aren't you? And so you're two different entities from the Office of the Public Guardian. However, you seem to operate like as one group, as a single entity. And that's where the concern lies. Like, look, for example, Mr. Browell, I've got this letter.
I need to get off the phone. It's 5 o'clock. I can call you tomorrow.
Okay.
That's fine. We can continue tomorrow, but I need to get off the phone.
And I'm going to look to end the conversation, but just one last point that I'm trying to raise is that I've got this letter in front of me, right here in front of me right now. The letter that you posted to the letterbox, all right? And it's got my brother's NHS number on there, all right? It says here NHS Bradford District Care NHS Foundation Trust City Communicator Mental Health Team. This letter that you sent from the post, it has a reference of interim chair Carol Pantelli, chief executive Theresa Patton, all right, and it's got your name on there, and it's got Mr. Mohammed Fiaz's name on there, and nowhere on this letter does it show me that this is coming from Bradford Council.
Okay. Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, this is evidence. This is a fraudulent letter. Because why would it not show on this letter that you posted to the letterbox anything regarding Bradford Council? However, you know the reality. This letter is from Bradford Council, coming from the Office of the Public Guardian. All right, so I'm going to end the conversation.
That's just when I send a letter out. That's the letter, the template that I use.
No.
If it should have been a council template, I apologize.
No, it's not about apologising.
It's just a letter saying that I'm calling.
Mr. Browell, look, like I said, we're going to end the conversation here. But this is clearly evidence to me that the local authority do not operate in isolation. They effectively hijack and control other organisations. So in this letter evidences to me that Bradford District Care Trust is being hijacked and controlled by Bradford Council. Obviously, my central argument is that not only is Bradford Council doing that, basically manipulating, controlling, coaching and coercing a separate entity like Bradford District Care Trust, they're doing the same thing with my brother's GPs. They're doing the same thing with my GPs. They're doing this. They're extending and doing.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to get off the phone now.
So when can we arrange for the next call?
Well, I can try and get information about this order, and then I can give you a call as soon as I've got that information. So in the next couple of days.
Is it going to be the next couple of days or tomorrow?
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow if I've got the information for you. Yeah.
Okay, and so just to finalise, this meeting cannot go ahead, can it?
No, not at the moment. No,
it can't. Okay, and number two is that presently you're not intending to carry out any malicious safeguarding alerts.
No.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. I hope to speak to you in a couple of days. Thank you very much, Mr. Browell.
All right, cheers.
Goodbye.
Cheers, I'll see you now.
Bye-bye. So just neutralise this threat. This is a clear threat made to victimize and persecute and oppress me. So I've just managed to neutralise that threat. So this meeting, but this letter evidences to me that obviously the local authority are basically hijacking, controlling, mind controlling all these other organisations as their proxy agents and framing me for villainy. So yeah, I mean, once again, I'm having to speak to Mr. Browell because Mohammed Fayaz is not willing to speak to me. There's loads of other concerns, but the first thing obviously is that they're coming down to say we're going to explain the final orders to you. The final orders have not happened, could not have happened, and the issue remains in the court. And yeah, this is just malevolent. So I was alarmed and distressed by getting this letter posted through the postbox because I understood something malevolent to be taking place. But now when I've spoken to him, he's clearly understood that he can't come down and explain an order when acting as a proxy agent for the Office of the Public Guardian when he doesn't even have an order, when we don't even have a final order. So, and the matter is still with the Court of Protection. So good that this conversation is taking place, and I've managed to save my brother's life for a little bit longer.